Khamenei's Iran, which has armed, trained, financed, supported, and incentivized Hamas, which is effectively a proxy, along with Hezbollah, terrorist proxies of Iran. And one should not forget this axis of evil.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Kathy Manning. Indeed, we are soulmates and look forward to continue in a bipartisan manner. And we're so fortunate to have Senator Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut. It's indeed an honor to have somebody from the House of Lords come visit us.
It's a great line, don't you think? Although Canada doesn't have a House of Lords, does it?
Has a Senate.
Right. Let me ask you both, because you've spoken so eloquently on the need for moral clarity from the administration and from Congress, and we're here talking about both Ukraine and Israel together, where both are victims of hostage taking. Isn't it important for the Congress to speak not only in a bipartisan way, but also in a unified way on both Ukraine and Israel, to combine the aid that we want to give to both in a single package so that neither is left behind? Mr. Gensler, maybe you can speak to that issue.
Well, look, I think these are extraordinary times, undoubtedly, and I think it is important for people to speak with moral clarity on these questions. As an international human rights lawyer, one conducts analyses of particular sets of facts and circumstances individually and not collectively. You know that obviously as a former Attorney General of the state of Connecticut. You don't look at a set of crimes that have been committed except by looking at individual perpetrators and doing that analysis on an individual case, and indictments are issued on individual cases. And yet what we see in the international community, and we see sometimes in the Congress, are false moral equivalencies being drawn or justifications being made for for two very, very different sets of topics as it relates to intent. I think the biggest thing that I would point out on Israel versus Hamas is what is the intent of each of the parties. The intent, obviously, of Hamas is to commit genocide, to kill every Jew in the world, and to wipe Israel off the map. And the intent of Israel is to exercise its right of self-defense under the UN Charter, which is a legal and moral response, and it needs to do so in accordance with the laws of war. But I do think, coming to your narrower question, doing this, I think, jointly is very, very important, especially given the dissenting voices that we also see in the Congress on Ukraine, which to me are kind of shocking and horrific, because I think what Putin is doing in Ukraine, how he's doing it with the commission of mass war crimes is, in fact, as Professor Kotler said, genocidal. And the abduction of children across international borders, 19,500 by Ukraine's count, as we heard from our prior witness, shocks the conscience. And so I think that we do need to deal with these issues together, because I think that they are directly related, despite being obviously in different parts of the world.
I think those points are very, very well taken. Let me ask you, Mrs. Kara-Murza, how regularly do you hear from the State Department about your husband, and have you been provided any explanation or insight as to why he has not been designated as wrongfully detained?
Unfortunately, I haven't heard from the State Department in a while, and as to the explanation, I'm always told that the State Department is doing its best and that Vladimir is put in their public program on unjustly detained. That brings attention to specific cases of people persecuted for political reasons. But as to why the determination hasn't happened, that I have not received a clear response to, unfortunately.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today again before our commission. It really means a lot that you are speaking here on behalf of your husband and on behalf of other hostages that have been taken by Putin, including, although we don't necessarily regard them as hostages, the thousands of children that Putin has kidnapped and now are in either Russia or Belarus, in effect being brainwashed. I don't think that term is too strong for what's happening. And I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for, again, conducting this hearing on this very, very important topic. Thank you all for being here. And, Mr. Chairman, thanks for your leadership.
You're here. Thank you very much, Senator. Indeed, as an indication how important our witnesses are, the issues are. Thank you so much, Senator, for being here. We now proceed to Congressman Mark Veazey of